And let me tell you, they were looking at me as if to say, my goodness, where does this woman come from? But I couldn't sit there anymore and have my Father's heart grieved. I couldn't. I didn't care if they were going to throw me out of that church, but I wasn't going to allow my Father's heart to be grieved anymore. To be used, abused by people the way that he is right now. When he said to me, see, Natalia, why do they really come here? It's all about them being blessed. It's all for them. It's all about them. I must just give to them. I must just do everything for them. And what do they do for me? What do they do for me? What? And the more he was exposing his heart to me, the more I was weeping there at the back, lying on the floor. I was lying on the floor just weeping. As now they're doing their songs and they're singing, and it's all done in America. I don't understand it. So I was worshipping my Father right at the back. I went right to the back of the church, and I just lay on the floor, and I just was in his presence and saying, Father, what do you want to say here to these people? And then he started to show me his heart. And I thought, Father, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what they do to you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because I could feel his heart. Because people worship him with their lips, but their hearts are far from him. Their hearts, their mind, their will, their emotions are far from him. So he says, see, I am sending. So he says in verse 4 that we are to remember the Torah of Moses. So this key is going to keep coming up. It's going to keep coming up. So let's go back to Ezekiel, where we were. Ezekiel 22. Sorry, I just got carried away there. Let me not go there. Otherwise I will not be able to continue. So you see, the priests, her priests, from verse 26, now we look again from Ezekiel 22, verse 26, her priests have done violence to my teachings, to my Torah. They have profaned. They have taken away. They have violated my Torah. Their teachings is Torah, and they profane my set apart matters. They have not distinguished between set apart and profane, because you know what? Everything goes in the house of the Father. You know what? You can do whatever you like, it's fine. Isn't it amazing? If you look through the Leviticus, Father had a certain way the priests were supposed to dress. We won't even go there, Father. Let me not even go down that road. Because this thing is a bone of contention with me right now when it comes to women and the way they dress. Because there was a certain way that priests were supposed to dress. They are reflecting who he is. My question to you is, when you get dressed, you reflect who he is. Because if you are supposed to be a set-apart Holy One, think about it. How many chapters is there in just on how they had to dress because they were to serve him? And he wanted them to dress in a certain way when they served him. But nowadays, we can act like the world, look like the world, and it's fine. He must just be happy with everything. And then they tell you, he looks at your heart, it's okay. But we are talking about priests here. We are talking about a set-apart people that are special people to him. These are the ones that are going to shine to bring people back into righteousness. So, I'm sorry, I can't be looking exactly like the world does. You have to know the difference between what is set apart and what is profane. They have made known the difference between the unclean and the clean. So you see, what clean foods, unclean foods, what you should and shouldn't eat, what's clean, what's unclean. And they have hidden their eyes from my Sabbaths, which is his feasts, his set apart days, his feast days, his Sabbath days. And I am profaned in their midst. Her leaders in her midst are like wolves tearing the prey, to shed blood, to destroy lives, to get greedy gain. Do you see? What are these shepherds doing? What are these pastors doing for greedy gain? They sell their souls and preach messages that tickle people's ears so that they can continue to get their tithes, their offerings, their monies to upkeep their buildings, their cars, their nice fancy wardrobes and everything else that they have. And they even gloat about it. As I have heard many, where they gloat about their huge wardrobe that they have with all their things that they've acquired. And her prophets have coated them with whitewash, seeing a false vision and divining a lie for them, saying, thus says the Master Yahuwah, when Yahuwah has not spoken. Is that not talking about where we are today? This is exactly where we are today. You know, it's all these visions and all these dreams. But are they bringing people back to ways of Torah? This is exactly what it's saying. These priests were giving them all these visions, all these things. But the very thing that they should be doing is what they're violating. The people of the land have practiced oppression, committed robbery, have wronged the poor and needy, and they oppress the stranger with outright ruling. It's exactly everything that we see today. And I sought for a man among them who would make a way and stand in the bridge before me on behalf of the land, that I should not destroy it, but I did not find one. So let us, who are his true priests, that are keeping ways of Torah, that are walking in his ways, be the ones who can come and stand in the gap and repent on behalf of those that are not doing what's supposed to be done. And repent on behalf of those that are violating everything that's spoken of over here. These leaders in the midst, that they like wolves, tearing the prey, to shed blood, to destroy lives, to get greedy gain. We need to be repenting on behalf of what's going on in the churches. That is what we need to be repenting on behalf of this. Coming before Father, like I was that Sunday, and I said, oh Father, please forgive. Father, please forgive, Abba. I mean, I had to see it with my own eyes. I mean, how long have I, when last was I in Sunday church? But beginning of this year, he was sending me to the Ethiopian churches. I went to 2 different Ethiopian churches for 7 weeks in a row. And now they had invited me, that they wanted me to come, because there's a new church that they've now started in Johannesburg. But guess what? It just took me to preach one message that was truth. I haven't heard from them. And you know what his word was to me after I finished preaching the message? Natalie, I now understand your message is for a remnant of people. It's for the remnant. Do you see? He acknowledged that this message is for a remnant. So 31 says, therefore I have poured out my displeasure on them. I have consumed them with fire of my wrath, and I have put their way on their own head, declares your Master Yahuwah. So do you see the destruction that is coming? Because let's go and read. This is one of the scriptures that I started with them, 2 Timothy 4. Let's go read 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 4. Page 1163. It says, in the sight of Elohim and the Master Yahushua, Messiah, who shall judge the living and the dead at his appearing and his reign, I earnestly charge you. So he's coming, and he's going to judge the living and the dead. Proclaim the word. Be urgent in season, out of season. Be urgent in season, out of season. Convict, warn, appeal with all patience and teaching. For there shall be a time, listen to where we are now. For there shall be a time when they shall not bear sound teaching, but according to their own desires They shall heap up for themselves teachers tickling the ear. And they shall indeed turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. Do you see? This is exactly what it is today. They no longer want sound teaching. They no longer want truth. They rather turn to myths. And this is the scripture that Abba gave me when I was lying there at the back. He gave me this and he said, do you think they come here because they want to listen to my truth? They want to listen something that makes their flesh feel good. So that it encourages them and it makes them carry on in their way that they carry on. And then they want to get the prayers and everything for the blessings of what they want. But do they really want me? Because I come with certain conditions. If you want him, you need to come with the conditions of wanting him. You see? But you be sober in all matters. Suffer hardships. Oh my goodness, are we going to suffer hardships? You will suffer hardships for what you stand for. They might throw you out of places because you're speaking truth. They might come up against you because you're speaking truth. But don't worry, you know what? You've got to speak truth. Suffer hardships. Do the work of an evangelist. Accomplish your service completely. For I am already being poured out, and the time of my departure has arrived. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have guarded the belief. Now listen to this one. For the rest, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness. Wow. The crown of righteousness, which the master, the righteous judge, shall give to me on that day, not to me only, but also to all those loving his appearing. So we will be excited at his appearing in the sense of where we understand that we will receive a crown of righteousness because we have had to walk in that righteousness. We've had to walk it out. So do you see how this ties into where we are exactly today? That we will reap around us people that will speak myths, and they will no longer seek truth, and they will no longer want truth. Okay, let's continue to read Zephaniah. We go back to Zephaniah. We only got to verse 4 now. Do you see how deep it goes? It goes deep. Yahuwah is righteous in her midst, verse 5. Yahuwah is righteous in her midst. He does no unrighteousness. Morning by morning he brings his right ruling to light. It has not been lacking, yet the unrighteous one knows no shame. They continue. They continue in their ways, thinking that they are doing right. And that's what's so scared. That's what's so scary. I have cut off nations. Their corner towers are in ruins. I have made their streets deserted, with no one passing by. Their cities are destroyed, without man, without inhabitant. I have said, only fear me, accept instruction. Now that word, only fear me, is the word Yareh. Yareh. It's the concordance number H3372. And I want to read this. It's concordance number 3372. Because we need to understand, we keep getting this fear me. So what does it mean, fear me? Okay. 3372, we look at Yareh. Yareh means it's fear, afraid, terrible thing, dreadful, reverence, fearful, terrible acts. So Yareh means to be afraid, stand in awe. So it's to stand in awe of him, but fear him. Listen, This is one of the things, the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. If you fear Him enough, you will not do the things that you know what, in church I always used to say, oh, but it's not fear like that. We can't fear Him. No, you better fear Him. This is the creator of the universe we're dealing with. And you think you can continue to rebel against Him, and you think that you can continue to go in your own way. You know what I say to Him? I would fear if I were you. Honestly, I'd fear if I were you. Because you know what He will do to you if you will continue to rebel against Him? Have you read this Bible from Genesis to Revelation? Do you see, is it a good thing to fall into the hands of Yahuwah? To a living Alua? So you better understand, it is fear. Fearing the fact that, you know what? I will be judged if I'm going to continue to rebel against Him. And that is not being spoken today because, we're all being told, no, fear, you mustn't fear Him. He's my friend. So now we've brought Him to our level. You know what? Let's put Him in His proper place. He is the creator of the universe. And who do we think we are? To continue to shove a fist in His face and say, I will not do it. I will not do this. But what do we think? Hello? He speaks, and we keep rebelling against Him. We better fear Him. Because let me tell you something. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of a living Alua. Because judgment will come. How long do you think you can continue to rebel against Him and you will not have His wrath come against you? How long? Yara means to be afraid, stand in awe, fear. Basically, this verb is speaking about the psychological reaction of fear. Yare may indicate being afraid of something or someone. So there is a being afraid of. Do you understand? Many things I do because I think, I have had my dealings. Do you understand? I've shared many testimonies. Oh, you want to do it your way? Okay. I tell you to do it like this. You want to do it your way? You want to put on those shoes? I tell you to put on these shoes. You put on those shoes. Don't worry. Put on the shoes you want. And then when I fall and hurt my foot and everything else that goes with it, then I know. Oh boy, you should have done it my way. Jacob prayed, deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. Genesis 32:11. So, Jacob feared Esau. Why? Because he knew that Esau was coming for him and was going to smite him. But we fear man, but yet we don't fear Alua. But what is wrong with us? Boy, we fear man. Sometimes we don't say something because we have a fear of man. But to have a fear of the Father, we don't have a fear of the Father. What is wrong with us? Used of a person in an exalted position, Yare connotes standing in awe. It also means to stand in awe. This is not simply fear, but reverence, whereby an individual recognizes the power and position of the individual revered, and renders him proper respect. So you see, we stand in awe of him because we reverence him and we give him the proper respect because of who he is. I mean, it's like I said, who do we think we are? In this sense, the word may imply submission to a proper ethical relationship to Allah. So therefore, we reverence him, we fear him, we reverence him, we are in awe of him, and therefore we submit. The angel of Yahuwah told Abraham, I know that thou fearest Allah, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. So you see, why did Abraham fear Yahuwah? Had he already had dealings with him? Yes, he did. He had a reverence for him. He knew him. He walked with him. He knew exactly the way to walk with him. He saw what the Father had done with him. He knew he was the creator of the universe. So we look again at this word Yareh, and it says, the people, from Exodus 14 verse 31, the people who were delivered from Egypt saw Alua's great power, feared Yahuwah, and believed Yahuwah and his servant Moshe. There is more involved here than mere psychological fear. The people also showed proper honor, reverence for Yahuwah, and stood in awe of him and of his servant, as their song demonstrates in Exodus 15. After experiencing the thunder and lightning flashes, sound of trumpet, smoking mountain, and they were afraid and drew back. But Moses told them not to be afraid, for Alua is to come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. Exodus 20:20. In this passage, the word represents fear or dread of Yahuwah. This sense is also found when Yahuwah says, fear not. So we need to be in awe of who he is, but we need to fear him. We need to reverence him. We need to respect him. And that is what the Father requires of us when he turns around and he says that we are to fear him. So verse 7, we continue with Zephaniah 3 verse 7, I have said, only fear me, accept instruction. And her dwelling would not be cut off, all that I have appointed for her. But they rose up early, they corrupted all their deeds. Okay, now it says, accept instruction. That word for accept instruction, that word is the word musar. It's the Hebrew word H, concordance number H4148. And that is to discipline, chastening, correction. So it is to discipline, chasten, correction, instruction. That is the word for masur. And so what he's saying is, accept instruction, accept his discipline, accept his chastening, accept his correction, accept his chastisement, accept his discipline that he's giving you, accept his rebuke. Mosur means instruction, chastisement, warning. Accept his warning. Sometimes he warns us, but we don't listen. We go our own way. And then he's chastising. So many times we're going through things and then we're rebuking the devil. Meantime, it's him bringing things in our lives because we are in disobedience. This noun occurs 50 times, mainly in Proverbs. The first occurrence is in Deuteronomy 11:2. That says, I will speak not with your children which have not known, and which have not seen the chastisement of Yahuwah your Alua, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm. One of the major purposes of the wisdom literature was to teach wisdom and musar. As discipline, it teaches how to live correctly. So as discipline, so when we are being disciplined, so he disciplines us. He says, receive instruction. Receive my discipline. For what? It teaches us how to live correctly in the fear of Yahuwah, so that the wise man learns his lesson before temptation and testing. And Proverbs 24 verse 32 says, then I saw and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. I received discipline. This discipline is training for life. Hence, paying attention to musar is important. Many verbs bear out the need for a correct response. Hear, obey, love, receive, obtain, take hold of, guard, keep. And that's why he will discipline us, he will chasten us, he will correct us, he will warn us. That's what it means, receive instruction. But that is not what we like to do. Verse 8. Therefore wait for me, declares Yahuwah, until the day I raise up for plunder. For my judgment is to gather nations, to assemble reigns, to pour out on them my rage, all my burning wrath. For by the fire of my jealousy all the earth shall be consumed. For then I shall turn unto a people a clean lip, a clean language. That is a language, a clean language. That would be the Hebrew language, a pure language, which is returning back to a Hebrew language for us to be able to, so that they can call on the name of Yahuwah. So that when you understand that Hebrew language, you have an understanding of his name. Because then when you have the understanding of the Hebrew language, we really start to understand his name. Because his name is not written in Greek, and his name is not written in any other language except in Hebrew. And that is why he's restoring to us that Hebrew language. You see, when we look at these concordance numbers, it's going deeper into the Hebrew to understand the words, because our English does no justice to the depth of the Hebrew language. A way of being able to explain the Hebrew language is so rich. When you read, that is why these people that really, know the Hebrew, when they read their Bibles, they can teach it in such a powerful way, because when you read the Hebrew Bible in the Hebrew language, it's so much deeper than when we read it in an English language, because it goes so much deeper. Okay, now we're going to look at this next verse. For beyond the river of Cush, verse 10, from beyond the river of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. Wow. Now that was amazing, because the Father has been speaking to me for about the last, 2-3 years about true worshippers. And it says, from beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones. So these are dispersed, that have gone into exile, that are beyond the river of Cush, and these are worshippers, and they shall bring my offering. Okay, now this says a lot. So beyond the river of Cush, now Cush is known as Ethiopia, and that is pointing to Africa at the end of the day again. And we are the southernmost tip of Africa, which I said to you, Abba needs to be able to raise up a people that this continent needs to reflect his glory, isn't it? How's it going to reflect his glory? With a white flag, which is purity, holiness, righteousness, which needs to return back to his ways. So beyond the river of Cush is going to come worshippers. So one day, I had worshipped throughout the night, and I just spent time with Abba, and I'd been in an amazing time of praise and worship, and I was dancing throughout the night, and I must have danced, for about 4 hours or whatever, and boy, then that night, that early morning when I went to sleep, I woke up and, I felt quite good when I'd gone to bed, like you've done something, you understand, you've just spent a lot of time worshipping the Father. And I woke up that morning and the Father said to me, Natalia, the highest form of worship is obedience. There's no higher form of worship than obedience. It's not all this dance that you've gone and given. Not that I'm saying that there's anything wrong with that. But he says, as a worshipper, and then he challenged me and he said to me, what is a true worshipper? I'm looking for true worshipper. I'm looking for a true worshipper. What does it mean to be a true worshiper? My Father is looking for true worshippers, is what the word says. Natalia, what does it mean to worship me in spirit and in truth? And this was the very message that the Father has been putting on my heart since since I've basically come back from Israel. The last couple of months, it's laying very heavily on my heart, where I'm really been on about He's looking for a true worshipper. So when I was invited to go and preach at the Ethiopian church, that was the message that the Father had me preach. What is a true worshipper? So we are going to look at this, because if the Father is saying, from beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. So there is a worship, there is a people that He's looking for that need to be His worshippers. So let's go look at John chapter 4, verse 20 to 24. Okay, and we're going to go look, because we need to understand these worshippers. And this is something the Father's been speaking to me about now, like I said, for a while. When He first told me that the highest form of worship is not all my dancing that I've done. He says, Natalia, I'm not saying that I don't want that. I'm saying I want your obedience, my girl. So the highest form of worship is obedience. And how did Yeshua learn obedience? Through His suffering. So obedience comes with a level of chastising and suffering that we have to go through. Suffering, not that Yeshua was chastised, but He suffered. To obey the Father, He had to go through suffering, isn't it? Many times our obedience to the Father causes a suffering in our life. I'm sure you've gone through that, like I've had to go through that with my family and with so many people. So let's read the account from verse 20 to 24. And again, we start at verse 19, and it says, the woman said to Him, Master, I see that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you people say that in Jerusalem is the place where one needs to worship. So now look at this. This is a woman saying, our fathers worship on this mountain, but you people. So she recognizes he's not from the same people as her. So this is not a Jew. She's not a Yehudim. She's a foreigner, not a Yehudim. But you people say that in Jerusalem is the place where one needs to worship. Yeshua said to her, woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you shall neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. Now look at what He says to her. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, because the deliverance is of the Yehudim. Salvation is of the Yehudim. So what is He trying to say to her? Now, this is somebody that there is a prayer mountain and there is a temple there. And they are supposed to be going to worship there. But guess what? They're doing it their own way. We want to worship on this mountain, but you people say we need to go worship there. Now, this is exactly what is happening today. No. Those are the Jews, they do it their way, and we are the Gentiles, we do it another way. We don't want to do it the way that we're supposed to do it, because, you know what, we are now Christian. We're no longer under the law, and we will worship the way we want to worship. So we will do our singing and our dancing and our songs and everything, and we do it our way. Okay? Yeshua is saying, you worship what you do not know. We worship what we know. Why is it that they worship what they know? Because they know they were the ones given the instruction. They were the ones that was told how to worship Him, isn't it? They were told, this is how you worship me. Worship has to do with a sacrifice that they would come to give. Go and look deeper into that worship. When it says that when Moses would worship when Abraham would offer him worship, how would he worship? He offered him a sacrifice by offering him an offering. That offering was part of worship. But now we have in this day and age made worship about music. And that's what it's become. It's become worship, has become about, I sing songs. And it's all about music. So we are worshippers now because we sing lots of songs. And we worship for 5 hours singing songs. But let's go a little bit deeper here. Because he's saying, you worship what you do not know. We worship what we know because deliverance is of the Yehudim. So deliverance, whether you like it or not, comes from the Yehudim, comes from the Jews. Don't like that word, I prefer Yehudim. Because at the end of the day, Father gave them the covenant. So, if you are going to worship what you don't know, because they were worshipping on their mountain and they weren't going to there and saying, but we worship, you worship there. That's why he said, you worship what you don't know. Because you're doing your own worship over there. But you're not worshipping the way you're supposed to worship. Now listen to what he says in verse 23. But the hour is coming and now is when true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father also does seek such to worship him. Wow. He's looking for true worshippers. So when he says true worshippers, what does that mean? If he says true, there must be a false, isn't it? So if he says he's looking for a true worshipper, there must be a false worship. And he says, when true worshippers shall come, shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father, does it say Yeshua? For the Father also does seek such to worship him. Eloah is spirit, and those who worship him need to worship in spirit and in truth. So what does that mean? To worship him in spirit and in truth? Because this is how he started to explain to me, that he said to me, I am looking for true worshippers in this hour. I've had far too many worshippers. They worship me with their lips. Isn't that what he spoke of the Israelites? They worship me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And he's saying, I'm looking for a true worshipper. So we need to look at what does it mean to be a worshipper. First of all, worship has everything to do with obedience. So you can play him all your nice songs and sing all your songs, but you need to be able to worship him in spirit, and you need to worship him in truth. So for worship to become true worship, what do you need to do? You need to be worshiping him in spirit, and you need to be worshiping him in truth. So let's go look at Psalm. We're going to go into detail into that. Let's go look at Psalm 147, 18 to 20. Psalm 147, verses 18 to 20. Okay. He sends out his word and melts them. He causes his wind to blow, the waters flow, declaring his word to Yaakov, his laws, his right rulings to Israel. He has not done so with any nation, and they have not known his right rulings. So listen, declaring his word to Yaakov, his right rulings. So he taught who his right rulings? Yaakov. He taught Israel his right rulings, his laws. He taught it to Israel. He has not done so with any nation. So do you see why now he's saying you worship what you don't know? Because salvation, deliverance is from the Yehudim. That is why it's so important that we are grafted in to a covenant that was made with them. Otherwise you are a branch sapping of your own. He does not do so with any nation, and they have not known his right rulings. That's what he was trying to say. You worship what you don't even know. Because how do you worship him and you're not even in obedience to my ways, to my right rulings? You need to bring me certain sacrifices. You need to bring me certain offerings. There's certain ways that I want to be worshipped for your sin offering, for your, all those offerings that were there for your peace offering, all of those offerings that they had to bring. That was why the temple was there, for them to be able to come and worship him. That was how the worship was having to be done. But now he's saying, but you worship what you don't even know. Now if we look at today, are people worshipping what they know? Because once again, we've got a problem. True worship, false worship. Let's go look at Isaiah chapter 2 verse 3. Isaiah chapter 2 verse 3 says, and many people shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Eluah, of Yaakov, and let him teach us his ways, and let us walk in his paths. For out of Zion comes forth the Torah and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. So worship has everything to do with obedience to walking in ways of Torah. And in more than that, because we're going to look at it now. Now we look at Isaiah chapter 56 verse 6 and 8. It says, Isaiah chapter 56 verse 6 and 8 says, and also the sons of the foreigner. So that's who we would be if we are the sons of the foreigner. We are those that, like, he's talking to this woman, and she's not a Yehudim. She's the son of the foreigner. Now listen to what he says. And also that this prophet speaking, and also to the son of the foreigner, who joined themselves to Yahuwah, to serve him, to love the name of Yahuwah. How do you love a name that you don't even know? How do you love him and you don't even know his name? It's telling you, if you are a son of the foreigner, so now do you understand when he's talking about false worshippers? They don't even know his name. They're worshipping songs. It's all Lord and God and Lord and God and Lord and God. But how do they sing a song that's to his name when they don't even know his name? So he says, and also the son of the foreigner who joins themselves to Yahuwah to serve him, to love the name of Yahuwah, to be his servants, all who guard the Sabbath and not profane it. Because you see, the Sabbath was the mark of the covenant, was keeping the Sabbath. And not profane it, and are holding on to my covenant. So what covenant are you in if you are not returning back to the covenant that was given already to, if you are saying that you are Abraham's child and Abraham's seed, because this is what we say in Christianity, people will say, but we are the sons of Abraham. Great. But Abraham was given a covenant that says he kept his Torah, he kept his charge, he kept his it says in Exodus chapter 26. Let's go look quickly. Let's go see. Here's the promise. And I shall increase your seed. This is the Father speaking to Abraham in Genesis chapter 26 verse 4. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heavens. And I shall give all these lands to your seed. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. So this is the seed of Abraham. Because Abraham obeyed my voice, guarded my charge, my commands, my laws, my Torah. So how are you going to be a son of Abraham and you don't keep what Abraham kept? But no, it's only by faith. I'm now by faith. Faith in what? You have faith in Yahuwah, and by you having faith in Yahuwah and who he is, you then keep his ways. That's why it was Moses. That's why Abraham was accredited unto him unto righteousness. Because why? Abraham was obedient. He believed Yahuwah and did what he told him. Obeyed. So how do you worship him without obedience? How? So he says, Then I shall, in Isaiah chapter 56, we go back, verse 7, then I shall bring them to my set apart mountain. This is what he's talking about. I will then bring you to my set apart mountain. So he says there's coming a day where you shall neither serve on this mountain nor on your mountain. Because my Father's looking for true worshippers. And these true worshippers, I'm going to bring them to my holy mountain. And then I shall bring them to my set apart mountain and let them rejoice in my house of prayer. Their ascending offerings and their slaughterings are accepted on my slaughter place, for my house is called a house of prayer for all the peoples. The Master Yahuwah, who gathers the outcasts of Israel, declares, I gather still others to whom besides those who are gathered to him. So you see, he gathers others that are not of the house of Israel, that are the foreigner, that he will gather to his holy mountain. And we will see that holy mountain where it is. We're going to see it now coming up, where he's going to gather them, he's going to gather them to a mountain, Mount Zion. At Zion. He's always talking about Zion. Talked about in the book of Revelation, he'll seal them off and bring them to Zion. So he's going to gather them. But who are these? Let's see. What does it mean when he says in John chapter 4, when he turns around and he says, but the hour is coming and now is when true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father also does seek such to worship him. Yahuwah is spirit. And those who worship him need to worship him in spirit and in truth. And now he said to me, Natalia, what is a true worshipper? What do you understand about worshiping him in spirit and in truth? That's what he asked me. What does it mean to worship me in spirit and in truth? I said, Father, I do not know. He says, let me explain to you. One who worships me in spirit and in truth is one who worships me, one who obeys my spoken word to them. So if Father tells you now, go, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, I need you to do all these things, you do it. You go and you do it. If he says, my child, I want you to go to Greece, or I want you to go to wherever, or I want you to go and give this person this thing, or I want you to give this person this word. It's the spoken word. You walk with him in spirit. You're walking with him on a daily basis. His spoken word that he speaks to you in the spirit. That is the spirit. That's the spoken word of Yahuwah. He wants you to worship him in, he's looking for true worshippers that worship him in spirit. That is your obedience to his spirit speaking to you, to the Ruach HaKodesh, leading, guiding on a daily basis. And then you will worship him in truth. What is the truth? This is the truth of this word. This is the truth of the written word. So spirit is the spoken word. Truth is the written word. That is a true worshipper. A true worshipper is one who is worshiping him, listening, shamaying with him on a daily basis. Shama, listen and obey to my spoken word that I speak to you now. Natalia, I need you to get up. I need you to go and do this. I need you to do that. That is the spoken word. So now we've got a bunch of people that are doing that. That in the church they know how to listen to the Spirit. But then they need to obey in truth. And what is the truth? Truth is his written word. And he's looking for those who do both. He's looking for a true worshipper. One who's going to worship him in spirit and in truth, meaning one who's going to worship him in his written word and in his spoken word. That is a true worshipper. It is one that is going to allow him to speak into them where they need to die to their flesh, where they need to allow him to crucify, where they need to bring in line their own lives. It has everything to do with where you become the song for the Father. You become his song through your life. Your life reflects a song that you sing. The song that you sing must be reflected in your life. Because it's not just about singing songs. That is what we've been taught now. A worshipper is one who's going to sing a lot of songs. Yet the Father is listening to many songs with no obedience, isn't it? No one that is grafted back into truth, is it? So he says, beyond the river of Cush, my worshippers, my true worshippers, those who are obeying me in spirit and in truth, those who walk with me, those who are obedient to me, the daughter of my dispersed ones is going to bring those dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. In that day you shall not be put to shame for any of your deeds in which you have transgressed against me. For then I shall remove from your midst your proud exalted ones, and you shall no more be haughty in my set apart mountain. You see? In my set apart mountain. You shall no longer be haughty on his set apart mountain. Because he says, for you to come to a true worshipper, to come into my holy mountain is one who will love his name, one who's going to keep his Sabbaths and his covenant, one who will serve him. That is what is written in Deuteronomy chapter 56, to one who is grafted in, isn't it? To one of the foreigner that returns, that will love the name of Yahuwah, that will love to be able to come back to his ways. Let's just look at it again. Yeah. One who will join themselves to Yahuwah, one who will serve him, one who will love his name, one who will guard his Sabbath and not profane it, and one holding on to his covenant. That is a worshipper. One who is shamayim, listening and obeying to his spoken word and his written word in this Bible. Okay? He says, but I shall leave in your midst an oppressed and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahuwah. Sure, that oppressed is the afflicted. I shall leave in your midst an afflicted, poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahuwah. Yes, afflicted people. And that oppressed is actually the word for oni, and that is afflicted, humble, lowly, needy. He will leave an afflicted, humble, lowly, needy people that are poor, that are oppressed, and that are poor. They don't have all the riches of the world. Because why? Then they will know to trust in the name of Yahuwah. Let me tell you something. This is something that I can tell you now. A person who doesn't have a lot of wealth has to learn to trust the Father more than one who's got a lot of wealth. And that, you see, he was against those priests that were gaining, it was everything that they're doing was for greedy gain. You know, let me tell you, it's much more difficult for people who have nothing to have to trust him. I mean, every single time that we have to travel, we have to trust him. We are traveling now. Father's giving us a commission to go to Greece now. We're flying out in a month's time today, 15th of September. And guess what? Every time I say, Abba, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where the finances is going to come from. There's going to come a day. Can there come a day that I don't have to worry about this? No! Because you know what, Natalia? You have to learn what it means to trust me. We must be very careful that we do not put our trust in the wealth that we have. Because when we're going to get to studying Haggai, we're going to understand. That can be taken from you in a blinking of an eye. And so he says over here, and the poor people, because why? We're going to go through, he's going to strip, he's going to take us through many things. And look, now verse 13, the remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood, nor is a tongue of deceit found in their mouth. For they shall feed their flocks and lie down with none to frighten them. Okay, the remnant of Israel. Let's go look at the remnant of Israel. The remnant of Israel. Now you can see, this message is for a remnant of people. And even the Ethiopian people said that to me. my friend turned around and said to me, the pastor turned around and said to me, look, Natalia, your message is a very powerful message. It's not one that you hear in the church. Of course not. Because my goodness, I don't even go to church. How are you going to hear what I've got to say? I don't even know what the church is about. I haven't been there for so long, I don't know. But let me tell you something. I felt the Father's heart in that church. And I know there's no good thing going on. And he said to me, it is a powerful message. It brings you back to the presence of the Father. But I understand it is for a remnant of people. So he says, the remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness. See? They will keep his ways of Torah. They shall not violate Torah. And speak no falsehood. Now where have we seen that? Nor is a tongue of deceit found in their mouth, for they shall feed their flocks and lie down with none to frighten them. So who are these people? This is already a people, this remnant of Israel. Let's go look at Revelation 14, because this is a people that is spoken of in Revelation 14. True worshippers. Look and see. True worshippers that will finally worship him in spirit and in truth. That you can sing all your songs. You're going to sing a song. But you're going to sing a song because that song will be your life. Do you understand? Your life becomes that song that you sing to him. One of a life of obedience. And I looked and saw a lamb. Verse 1 of 14. And I looked and I saw a lamb, and standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, and having his father's name written upon their foreheads. You see, they love the name of Yahuwah. Those in Isaiah 56 that have been grafted in. Those that are the house of Israel. They love his name. Their name is on their foreheads. And I heard a voice out of heaven like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. See, their life became that song. No one could sing that song because it wasn't the song that you were singing out of your mouth. It was a song that you were living with your life by being that true worshipper. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. I've never even seen this. It wasn't a song that you're singing. That's why I said nobody else could sing that song. Why could nobody else sing that song? Because you are now a worshipper singing a song that your life is reflecting. Do you understand? They are those who were not defiled with women, for they are maidens. They are virgins. Now, doesn't it talk about the 10 virgins, 5 already and 5 or not? There you go. They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. You see, they were following the Lamb wherever he leads. So you've got to hear him. You've got to shema, listen and obey. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits of Eloah and of the Lamb. You see, those first fruits. Who are those first fruits? They are the first fruits of those priests. That will be no unrighteousness. They speak no unrighteousness. Did we read that in Malachi? Are you seeing the bigger picture all coming together? Malachi we read and we said, these are the unholy priests, though they speak unrighteousness. And in their mouth was no falsehood, for they are blameless before the throne of Eloah. In their mouth was no falsehood. You see, a true worshipper that's worshipping in spirit and in truth has no lie in them. So who are these? This is the true remnant that's spoken of Yahweh. He says, and the remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood. And if when we read in Malachi, what did he say in Malachi? When we were reading Malachi, and Malachi turned around and he said, let's just quickly go here to Malachi. When he says, and the Torah of truth was in his mouth, in the mouth of the priests. Because these priests are these first fruits. This is huge. This is for you to understand. Those fireworks and everything. And unrighteousness was not found on his lips. He walked with me in peace and straightness and turned many away from crookedness. That we saw that in Daniel, speaking of Daniel in the last days, in the end times. That's what they're going to do. They're going to turn many from unrighteousness. They will turn many from back to the Father. For the lips of the priest should guard knowledge, and they seek the Torah from his mouth. For he is the messenger of Yahuwah of hosts. So, do we see here what he's talking about in Zephaniah when he turns around and he says that the remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood? It's coming back to a people. And who are these people? Who is this remnant? It is priests. They are the first fruits that are going to be redeemed, that are going to be sealed off in his name. Are you starting to see this picture? Or am I the only one seeing it here? I'm starting to see this. Shout for joy, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Yahuwah has turned aside your judgments. He has faced your enemy. The sovereign of Israel, Yahuwah, is in your midst. No longer need you fear evil. In that day it shall be said in Jerusalem, do not fear. Zion, do not let your hands be weak. Yahuwah your Eloah in your midst is mighty to save. He rejoices over you with joy. He's silent in his love. He rejoices over you with singing. You see, he will sing his song over you. And as he sings his song over you, you become that song. Because your life is in tune with him. You are obeying him. You are walking with him. You have turned your way to him in all the ways that he's needing. I shall gather those who grieve about the appointed time, who are among you, to whom its reproach is a burden. So that to whom its reproach, that reproach is shame, disgrace. So we will go through much shame and disgrace, but he will gather us. See, I'm dealing with those afflicting you at that time. So a time is coming when we're going to be much afflicted. And I shall save the lame and gather those who were cast out. And I shall give them for a praise and for a name in all the earth where they were put to shame. You become a praise offering for the Father when you come into perfect obedience and alignment to his word. You become that true worshipper that worships him in spirit and in truth. And then your name will become a praise, and I shall give them for a praise and for a name in all the earth where they were put to shame, where people will scoff at you, where people will put you down, where people will shame you. He will make your name. He will get them to know your name. He will restore to you. At that time, I shall bring you in. Even at that time, I gather you, for I shall give you for a name and for a praise among all the peoples of the earth. Then I turn back your captivity before your eyes, says Yahuwah. And so where we've been dispersed and scattered, we will then be returned. And we will be as a praise for him, because our lives will become that song. Because it's not about, it's then you become a true worshipper. Your life becomes the song. The strings that gets played is the song of your life, of obedience to him. That no one can know that song except the one who sings it, because that song is who you become. The set apart remnant of people. This priesthood of Yahuwah. So, this is where we will finish off today. The whole thing is coming together. Now do you understand? If you read through Zephaniah, you get a bigger understanding of who we are. And what the Father is saying between a false priesthood, between a true priesthood, between a false worshipper, between a true worshipper, between those that have been profaning and violating his Torah and those that are going to have to bring it back and cause many to come back into righteousness. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Abba Father. Let us just close off in prayer. Abba, Father, I just want to praise and thank you for this word, Abba. Oh, Abba, how we truly desire to become a song unto you, Abba. Not just to sing songs for you, Abba, but to become a song. That you will sing your song over us, Abba, Father. Teach us, my Father, what it truly means to become a true worshipper for you. As truly we have inherited lies. So many lies, my Father. Forgive, Abba, Father. Forgive where your Torah is being violated. It's been torn apart and it's been taken away. And I just want to say, Father, please forgive. Forgive what is going on right now with all these false. There's so many prophets and so many priests that are standing behind pulpits today, but yet all for greedy gain. Father, but there are many that do not know these truths, Abba. They do not know these truths. And that is why I understood why there had to be a fireworks display, because you are going to thrust forth. You're going to display. You're going to send forth this remnant of people that you have been keeping aside for this time. To go forth and shine, to bring many to righteousness, to bring many back to your ways, back to your Torah, back to your precepts, back to your ordinances, back to your truths, back to knowing your heartbeat, Abba. Father, we do not want to be those priests that did not hold the covenant of Levi, Father. We truly want to be a Zadok priesthood. One who will love you, one who will serve you, and one who will walk in your ways, Abba, Father. Teach us, Father, so that we may know how to walk before you. Teach us, Abba, Father, to what it truly means to be able to be those who will be righteous, who will be perfect, and who will know your ways. Those who will be found blameless, Father. Help us, Father, to remove every falsehood out of us. That is why I'm at a place that I say, I hate lies. Because you want no falsehood within us. Root out every bit of falsehood that is there. Expose every lie for what it is, Abba, Father. We really want to be able to know your truth. And we want to be those true worshippers that will worship you in spirit and in truth. So I thank you, Abba, Father, for your word. Will you continue to teach us, Abba, Father, so that we can truly be these set apart ones, Abba, Father. I praise and I thank you for this in Yeshua's name. Amen.